One that was a roller coaster, but the Mets held the lead. They got the job done. How's it going, everybody? Thank you all so much for chiming in for the latest post-game show here on WardyNYM, where I'll be breaking down everything that you guys need to know about this 8-6 victory to start off a 3-game set against the Phillies for the Amazons. What a roller coaster of a game. The Mets start off, we saw a 7-0 lead, and it was only a 1-run game. Oh my goodness, I have so much to say about this one. I know we have a lot of reactions, guys. We're going to get into it all. Shout out to all you guys for chiming in. I do appreciate it. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe on, as always. Help us get to 100 likes for the first short-term goal here in the show, and help us get to 16K subs for the next short-term goal here at WardyNYM. Hope everyone's having a phenomenal Friday night. I know I am. This was a hard attack game a little bit. Don't get me wrong. Edwin Diaz gets the beautiful save. 101 heat to strike out Castellanos to win it. Massive save. Massive victory for the Mets, and they needed this one, guys. Bullpen game for the Phillies after Zach Eflin last minute was not going to make the start. And then they had Bailey Falter get in for the first 3 innings. And he did, in fact, falter. And that was the X factor for the Mets in the end. A bullpen game. Their offense exploded. Rightfully so. This offense has been so good. The lack of pitching has been there. But Cookie Carrasco had a really good start. And that's why he's in my Wardy's top 5. He did not deserve to have 5 earned runs on him. It's because of effing Chasen Shreve. But again, you guys again chiming in, folks. I really do appreciate whether you're watching live or on replay. Guys, I'll be getting all your comments, questions, and concerns shortly. Your donations, all that great stuff. All I would just say is hold that thought. I'm going to break down, again, everything that happened from this game. But I'm feeling juiced up. Like, the Mets lost their last series. And again, it wasn't for a lack of offense, but for a lack of pitching. And that's why it was that much more important to get off on the right foot against a bullpen game for the Phillies' sake. And also for the Mets, again, to make sure that they didn't completely implode. And they almost pulled the Phillies in this one. Thankfully, they didn't. The Phillies fell short of their rally. But let's get into it. My goodness, the Cardiac Kids, beautifully said from James. Great member here on the channel. Thank you so much for chiming in. Kish, great members. Dave, my good friend who donated. I'll be getting your donation in a little bit. Thank you so much again for that, guys. So much to break down from this game. Again, a roller coaster. That is the best way to describe this Mets game. I'm just so proud of this offense once more, even with the adversity that they faced. They made sure to at least tack on one more insurance run to keep things slightly more comfortable. And the relievers, not everyone was great tonight, but some guys definitely stood out with, of course, Edwin Diaz. Drew Smith had a really good bounce-back outing. Joely Rodriguez, Seth Lugo getting the job done for the Mets. And again, that big X factor, unfortunately, in the negative for the Mets pitching-wise, was Chasen Shreve tonight. But other than that, the pitching was pretty solid. So, guys, let's deep dive. No more being around the bush here. The Mets win 8-6. So let's talk about how exactly did they win 8-6? How did the offense break out? Well, again, we had, of course, a southpaw reliever in Bailey Falter, who was just called up today from AAA and for the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs to get the start because Zach Eflin could not make the original start for the Phillies, and they sent down Jose Alvarado in the process. So I did find that pretty comical. I got to be honest with you guys. But actually, I would just want to say a couple things real quick before we deep dive the game, because there were a bunch of updates today that I would like to share with you. One, Jacob deGrom was throwing at Citi Field, which is great. He's continuing to get himself feeling better, ramped up, and maybe the Mets will get him before the end of June. Not going to get my hopes up, but it's great to see him practicing, warming up in Citi Field, doing his lawn toss and all that fun stuff. Tyler McGill pitched a bullpen today. He's getting really close to returning the Mets rotation. I think it's a fair reason to say that we can probably expect him back sometime early June, maybe in either the first or second week, but Miguel is looking great. That's awesome. Unfortunately, Travis Jankowski, most of you guys know this by now, but he's actually out 2 months, had to have surgery on his hand after a diving play that he made recently, which really sucks because he's that Mets speedster, that great fourth outfielder, has been hitting well lately, but he can still get on base plenty, an amazing glove, amazing speed. So now Nick Plummer is looking like he's destined to get the call up tomorrow. Mets AAA outfielder who's looking for a shot. He got a shot in the Bigs Array this year with a bat or two, but it looks like he'll probably be back with the team tomorrow to fill in the void for Travis Jankowski in the meantime. But I just want to give you guys those updates in case you weren't aware. Great to see pitching-wise these guys healing up and getting better. And even though Jankowski went down, I wish him a speedy recovery. I'm excited to see how Nick Plummer will do and potentially maybe a guy like Jake Mangum. I know Khalil Lee's been doing better in AAA since coming back up from his demotion over the past couple of weeks. But Jake Mangum's been looking really, really good for the Mets since he was promoted to AAA over the past couple weeks. But guys, let's get into this game now. Enough of me talking about those updates. I just want to let you know so that way I didn't wait until I potentially cut this off for people on replay when I start answering questions. But the game started out tonight, folks, taking advantage of the opportunities given to you. And the Mets, they didn't have the prettiest run today, but they executed. They got bases juiced early in this one in the bottom of the first, thanks to WardyNYM reaching on base, thanks to a throwing error. Beautiful Phillies defense. If it wasn't for the Phillies' piss-poor defense, that's been the case all year long, the Mets might not win this game, as a matter of fact. If it isn't for Nick Castellanos having to play right field and being one of the most atrocious outfielders you will ever see, I don't know if the Mets win this one. But again, thankfully, Castellanos, he can't field. Schwarber, he can't field. Bryce Harper, he literally cannot field because he's stuck in the DH spot with a partially torn UCL. And thankfully, again, the Mets took advantage. Nimmo gets on base right in the bottom of the first. Starling Marte, who had a phenomenal game. That's why he's in my top 5. He gets on with a single. Francisco Lindor, another amazing game for Mr. Smile. So proud of him. That offense is looking fantastic. He gets on with the single. Pete Alonso then gets himself an RBI sac fly. That would not be the only RBI for Alonso tonight. We know that story. Then Lindor would then go on to steal second base after the Mets got the lead. Eduardo Escobar would then come in with a sac fly. Back-to-back sac flies from the Mets in the bottom of the first. And that was with, of course, Nick Castellanos in right field. Them just taking advantage, knowing that he can't throw them out at home. Love to see that. And then it finishes off the inning with a Mark Canha beautifully placed single that he does so well. RBI single right down the middle to bring in a run. Just like that, the Mets have bases juiced, no outs, and you would think only one base knock in that sequence after that they only get one run, but no, they managed to get sac flies, something that they could not do last year. They managed to do tonight. Again, so proud of this team and taking advantage of the opportunities given to you early, for that matter. They get off to that early 3-0 lead that we see. Then, of course, again, Cookie Carrasco was cruising in this game, folks, quite literally until that 6th inning, and he unfortunately faltered the same way that Tyler McGill faltered in one of his recent starts before his injury. Not the one against the Nationals, but the one prior to that. I'm forgetting who that was against, but I do remember correctly, McGill was cruising, had like 5 scoreless or so. Then he had a couple guys get on, and then Adam Ottavino comes in, couldn't even get it out for him, was charged with all those earned runs. That was the case again, similarly, that we'll get to here in a second. But before we do, Francisco Lindor, again, in the third, he gets on with a walk. He was an on-base machine today, as he's been the past couple weeks. Lindor has been so good. I currently ranked 3rd in all of baseball in RBIs, and Pete Alonso is 1st in RBIs, thanks to a 2-run, no doubt, piss missile to left field to open this one up, and that gave the Mets a strong 5-0 lead at that point there in the third, and they wouldn't even be done yet with the scoring, folks. As you see, they finished 8-6. But how did they get to 8-6? Again, shout out all my guys for chiming in here in the live stream or on replay. Thank you all so much. I appreciate that. Continue smashing that like and subscribe on, folks. Like I said, if you're in the live stream, I'll be getting all your comments, donations, questions, and concerns shortly. Just want to break down the game first and how pumped up I am that the Mets did not completely blow this one. They stayed in it. They got the victory off to a great start. And these series are that much more important. They have the Nationals after this, then they have probably the worst month out of all teams in baseball scheduling-wise. They have no easy schedule whatsoever this year, but June, oh my goodness gracious, that's not going to be anything but an easy task. So talking more about this game and why it was so important to win, we get to the 4th inning then for the Mets. Starling Marte with another base knock, his 2nd of the game. Then he goes 1st to 3rd because the Phillies, just like what they did against the Braves, where JT Realmuto overthrew, I think it was Albie stealing 2nd or whoever it was for the Braves. Then the second baseman there, whoever's there, couldn't handle it. The guy behind him, the cutoff man, couldn't handle it. And then the outfielder, no Odubel, couldn't handle it a couple days ago. And the same exact thing happened again today, folks. Marte goes 1st to 3rd, stealing the bag because you saw a complete overthrow, such a bad throw by the catcher tonight for the Phillies. And then that gets in the 3rd, and the Mets take advantage, thankfully, because then you get Francisco Lindor with an RBI single right away. So beautifully done. Oppo single for Lindor. So happy with Mr. Smile. And again, guys, the quality of the stream might drop a little bit. My Wi-Fi has been finicky. I apologize. I've said that in my recent shows. It'll come back up in a minute or so. So my apologies again once more if the visuals aren't the prettiest at the moment, but I assure you they will get better. But again, awesome to see. Lindor gets that RBI single. Then Pete Alonso himself gets an RBI double, tacking on more runs. That would be Alonso's final RBI of the night, but his 4th. Again, Pistol Pete, Big Meat Pete, Polar Bear Pete, whatever you want to call him. Polar Bear owns the Phillies. He owns the league. He's an absolute beauty. Now I believe has what, 12 to 13 bombs on the year, and also has himself, yes, over 40 RBIs. What a stud. But then we get into the sixth inning, guys, and this is where things start to change for the Mets. They start to derail a little bit. Cookie Carrasco, who pitched 5 beautifully scoreless innings. Then we get into the sixth, and he gets banged up a little bit. Bryce Harper gets an RBI single because that feels inevitable. Harper's going to do something at some point, right? He's an MVP caliber player. Nick Castellanos gets an RBI single back-to-back just like that. And then Gene Segura gets an RBI out, unfortunately. And just like that, the Mets give up 3 runs. And then at that point, that's where Cookie Carrasco comes out of the game. There's still guys on base. All Chasen Shreve needs is one effing out, folks. He just needs to get out of the inning. And he was not able to do that for the Mets. They just need to get him to finish it. He didn't even need to get all 3 outs. He needed to do less than that. And Chasen Shreve gives up an absolute bomb to Stubbs. Who is this guy? Garrett Stubbs. Who is this schmuck? He's hitting over 1,000 so far this year. I'm sorry, but I'm going to be a little ignorant. I don't follow the Phillies. I know Stubbs hit his first bomb not too long ago. But Garrett Stubbs, the catcher who had the terrible throw, he makes it a 1-run game. Chasen Shreve, I'm sorry, Shreve, but he has been absolute doo-doo lately for the Mets. My goodness, has a 5-year rate on the year now. Gave up 1 earned run, but he really should be charged with all those there. That's what really sucks when you bring in a reliever after your starter was in originally, and your starter has a couple guys on base, because at the end of the day, who knows? Maybe Cookie would be able to get out of that jam, only giving up the couple runs that he did. But no, he gets charged with 5 earned when Carrasco was a phenomenal pitcher for the Mets tonight. Again, not his best start, but surely wasn't his worst. And that's why I have to have him here in Wardy's top 5, one of the top players tonight. Because again, he was cooking. Just 1 bad inning, and no pun intended, cooking for Cookie, right? But seriously, if Shreve wasn't in there, maybe the Mets get out of that inning without giving up a total of finding themselves only up by a run. 7-6, a 6-run 6 for the Phillies, trying to do their best Mets impression of rallying back. But thankfully, again, this is what separates the Mets and the Phillies. The Phillies ain't the Mets. They wish they were the Mets, all right? And that's why the Mets still prevailed in the end, because then we get to the bottom of the 6th, Tomas Nido with a walk, Brandon Nimmo with a double, because Nick Castellanos simply can't field. Sounds like a day that ends in Y in right field. Marte gets himself an RBI ground out, and that gives the Mets a nice little insurance run, because after Chasen Shreve falters after what was a very strong start from Cookie Carrasco, Drew Smith then comes in this one in the 7th and has a scoreless outing. That's huge, because Drew has given up a bomb in his past couple outings from the Mets, so it was pivotal for him to get out on the right foot. He did just that, had a strikeout on 1 walk. Joely Rodriguez then comes in, gets 2 outs for the Mets there in the 8th, but they then bring in Seth Lugo for the matchup. Lugo gets that final out, huge for the Mets. And then, of course, we get to the 9th inning, and thankfully the Mets do, in fact, get the save. Edwin Diaz, who blew 2 of his last 3 save opportunities, was absolute money. Gave up a base knock to Alec Bohm, but who cares? All we know is that Edwin Diaz pumping 101, striking out Castellanos to end it. And that is how the Mets win it, folks. A 249 expected batting average. They had 9 hits to the Phillies 9. But again, Phillies 2 errors on the day. Just completely piss poor defense, poor alignment. All these things will be the making of losing a game. The Mets took advantage. The bullpen, Chasen Shreve, they try to blow it. But again, this offense is too good, too resilient. And thankfully, the remainder of the bullpen were able to get those crucial outs and some jams as well. Very impressed with a lot of guys for the Mets tonight. I'll go through the lineup in a minute, folks, but let's break down once more Wardy's top 5. We got to break down Wardy's top 5. I'll be getting your donations soon. Shout out my girlfriend Nina in the chat right now. Always appreciate that. But guys, Pete Alonso, how is Polar Bear Pete not your number 1? This man is on another level. Pete Alonso, who went over in his past 2 games in San Francisco after hitting an absolute bomb and having a great starter to that series. Alonso, who was over his last, 9, it feels like, has himself a great day, 2 for 2 with the runs scored, and that home run, the 4 RBIs, the double, gets a walk as well. Alonso, 283 average on the year, 876 OPS for Polar Bear. Love that. Number 2 star, you go with him or Marte. Personally, I went with Lindor just because if it isn't for Lindor, Marte doesn't get his 2nd run scoring today, let alone his runs scored in general. So Lindor, 1 for 2 on the day with that RBI, the 3 runs scored, and a stolen bag. Lindor, again, so locked in, so happy with him. 253 average, just under 800 OPS. 34 RBIs on the year, one of the best players in all the NL right now, one of the best shortstops in all baseball too. But again, we're going to continue the narrative that, oh, Lindor isn't good because of his contract. No, we got to push that aside right now. He's locked in. He's looking phenomenal. Beyond blessed to have Francisco Lindor on the New York Mets, and you should feel that way too with the way that this man's playing, and hopefully will continue to. But then my number 3 star, Starling Marte. It's got to be Marte this time. 2 for 5, RBI, 2 runs scored, stolen bag, first to third. Then Lindor brings him in, like I said, later midway through the game or so with the opposite field RBI single. Number 4 star, Mark Canha. Canha didn't have the best day at the plate, but he got the job done. Got that clutch RBI right down the pipe, a single to bring in the Mets' third run of the game. The Mets' only run that they scored in the first, where they had a single that drove in a run, because the first 2, again, were sac flies. 1 for 4 with an RBI. Canada's been looking strong, 293 average, 765 OPS. We take those for sure. And my number 5 star, guys, I know that there's plenty, but I got to go with Cookie Carrasco. I'm sorry. Cookie does not deserve the stat line that he has tonight, folks. Same way that Tyler McGill did not deserve the stat line, even though that's baseball. I understand that. McGill didn't deserve the stat line where he gave up a bunch of runs after pitching, 5 scoreless. It was his first start after the combined no-hitter. I'm just forgetting who that was against. My apologies, folks. I don't know why I'm blanking on this, but I am. But then Adam Ottavino couldn't get an out for him, and that drove in a bunch of runs when they had bases loaded there, less than 2. But not Eduardo, pardon me. We see here with Cookie, similar outing. He only should have gave up 2 to 3 earned, gives up 5. But again, a Cookie kept the minute, 7 strikeouts, 85 pitches, a sub-4 ERA now on the year. Really proud when it comes to Cookie Carrasco. He was cruising so good. And he, for a while, you would have thought that, yeah, the Mets, they're not going to just have a blowout victory, but it's going to be a blowout offensively and with great pitching. Unfortunately, they didn't get both those things in unison. But again, shout out to Cookie. Had a far better start than if you're just, maybe you didn't watch the game, maybe you didn't watch the highlights, didn't understand. If you just look at the stat line, you'd be like, oh no, Cookie crumbled. I wouldn't say Cookie crumbled. He got worked a little bit there in the 6th, rightfully so. But again, Carrasco, solid outing. Not going to get nearly enough credit that he deserves, in my humble opinion. And guys, help us get to 100 likes. Like I said, always appreciate folks for the first short-term goal here on the show. We're trying to get 200 to 300 likes here in the live stream before we wrap things up. We will be live for an hour. But again, for people on replay, I'll cut things off when we start to get to comments. So guys, going through the live real quick, then we'll go through Cookie Carrasco's arsenal, because he really was cooking him. I just can't emphasize enough how happy I was with Cookie today, all things considered. But Brennan Nimmo, 1 for 4 with a run scored and a double and a walk. And Nimmo gets on base. Sounds like a day that ends in Y. Then we talked about Marte, Lindor, Alonso, Eduardo Escobar. A rough day at the plate, but at least he was able to get that crucial sac fly for the Mets RBI there in the first. Without that, maybe this game's different, right? So Eduardo still 0 for 3. Still not playing well. I got to be honest with you. Looked solid there on the road trip, 100%. Looked like he was finding his swing. Today just didn't have it. And again, you're not going to hit every single game. I understand that. Mark Canha talking about McNeil went 1 for 4. McNeil didn't need a B day today. You know, that off day yesterday, it helped him a lot. And today, back from his leg contusion when he hurt himself going into the wall, diving, making a beautiful catch in the series finale against the Giants with the Mets lost, of course, that we discussed. But J.D. Davis over 3. J.D. didn't have a great day at the plate either. Unfortunate. And Tomas Nido. Nido looked terrible in his first couple at bats today, but he made up for it. 1 for 3 with a run scored and had himself a walk. So Nido, who looked like he had simply no swing whatsoever through the first couple innings, thankfully, through his third at bat, is able to get the job done. Third and fourth at bat. His final 2 were solid. So, guys, Mets, Cookie Carrasco, let's talk about his arsenal for a second. Then I'll get to your comments and I'll cut things off for people on replay. Again, I appreciate every single one of you guys who's chiming in. Really does mean a lot. Continue smashing that like and subscribe button, and God bless to you all. So let's get into Cookie Carrasco's arsenal, guys. Again, 5 earned runs. Nah, that wasn't the case. And this was a Phillies team that did pitch Sharice Familia and Brad Hand tonight. So it was nice to see the Mets get the victory with both those guys on the mound for the opposing club this time. Cookie, however, 5-pitch arsenal, 4-seam fastball, topped out 96, had some nice life on the velo there. Minimum 92, average 94. We love that. That's actually a mile per hour, just around a mile per hour higher than his yearly average right now at 93.2. So that's good. Velo was up and it wasn't hurting him. 90 miles per hour is where he topped down the changeup, which was 31% of his arsenal. Utilized that changeup a boatload today. Really utilized it, and it was effective. Minimum on the velo, however, 86, average 88. Then we got the slider, 12% of his arsenal for Cookie Carrasco. Topped out 87, minimum 85, and then the average 86. And then the sinker, 7% of his arsenal for Cookie, 94, minimum 92, average 93. Curveball, 6% of his arsenal, 83 velo, topping out, minimum 80, and then average 82. So, guys, again, can't emphasize enough. Cookie, very strong outing. I don't believe he crumbled. And this offense, again, prevails, guys. This Mets offense is elite. They are one of the best in baseball. I'm so happy the fact that, again, the Mets had those early, May blues. They weren't looking as consistent to begin the beginning of May as they were all of April, of course. And people were starting to get concerned. Oh my goodness, this Mets team has no home run power. They don't have this, they don't have that. Yet they're the peskiest team out there. I'm sorry, and I know there's a bias because I'm not watching every team, so I'll make that note. But the Mets lead the league by far with infield hits, and that is because, again, they avoided so many double play opportunities today, folks, because they just hustled their ass down the line like no tomorrow. This team, they had the speed, even without Jankowski out with injury now, which again sucks. I hope he gets better back ASAP. But the base running is phenomenal. The base stealing as well, because of the base running, is phenomenal. 2 stolen bags from the Mets today. And again, just the awareness, the situational hitting, this situational sac flies, to be hitting sac flies right field purposely, just beautifully placed where, Castellanos, the schmuck, and nothing personal against Castellanos. I'm a fan of his, but if he's a Philly now, which he is, I can't root for the guy, and I'm going to drag him if he has piss poor defense. And that was the case today. My man's couldn't do anything in right field. He couldn't throw if it smacked him across the face. Bryce Harper not being in right is probably the biggest blessing in disguise for the Mets in this one. But all in all, taking advantage of the opportunities given to you, the Mets now against the Phillies this year are 7-3. They look for the series victory tomorrow. Should the game not be rained out, there's a solid chance right now, I'd say. At worst, there will be a doubleheader on a beautiful Sunday, which I'm not against because it's Sunday night baseball. So maybe we will see a doubleheader. Either way, big win for the Mets. That's absolutely massive. That is their 30th victory of the season. And again, they look for the series victory tomorrow should they play. But again, guys, this is where I'm going to be cutting things off for people on replay. So now I'm going to be getting into all your comments, questions, and concerns here in the live stream. People on replay, let me know your thoughts down below. How do you feel about the Mets winning 8-6? Not the prettiest win, but if we take out Chase and Shreve, this one should have been a lot more of a cakewalk than what it was made out to be, only winning by 2 runs after having a 7-0 victory. No less, what's your biggest standout? What was your biggest takeaway from this game? Let me know in the live stream, in the chat right now, folks. And also, of course, let me know in the comments down below for my people on replay. Again, in the live stream, let's answer those questions. We got the chat going. It's Wardy stare time for like a couple seconds. And this is where we're going to be cutting things off again for my people on replay. God bless, and let's go Mets.